Welcome to the Great Exchange Podcast, a podcast about examining the lies that we believe and exchanging them for God's truth. I'm your host, Brady Cohn, and joining me today is our guest, Chris Gonzalez, all the way from Alaska. How are you doing today, Chris?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. We're starting to get a little more sunlight. I think it's 2 to 5 minutes every day, so it's brightening my soul.
Very good. I'm sure that after a dark winter, a little sunshine is good for the soul.
It is. Yeah, I just before this cast, I was out shoveling, and I tell you, it's almost as high as my son getting piled up now, and he's 8, so it's about 4 feet high.
Yes, I don't miss the Wyoming winters with the snow and the wind, especially you combine the 80 mile an hour wind with it.
We're fortunate. We don't have some of the really harsh winters I think I've heard about Wyoming and Chicago, and Fairbanks does, though. North of us, they have, where Denali is, it'll get down to negative 40 up there. So Anchorage really has it nice.
Yes, very good. Well, Chris, you are going to tell us about your former career as an FBI agent, and then you're also a parent. You are into the field of apologetics, so very well-rounded man. And then you now have started a resource that is now your full-time ministry called GoodTube Kids. And so I'm really excited to share this resource with our listeners, and so that they can be aware of it and they can use it to help equip their families. So first of all, why don't you share with us a little bit about your career as an FBI agent, some of the observations you made on what was affecting kids in our culture, and I'm sure you had to wrestle through that as being a parent yourself. So just give us a little bit of backstory on what led you to this today.
Thank you for this opportunity to tell people about GoodTube Kids, which we'll get to in just a little bit, but this newfound passion in business and ministry. A lot of people say it's a new chapter in our life, but it really feels like a new book. As you said, my background's in law enforcement, and I just finished a 19-year career. It was earlier than I thought I would leave. I never thought I would leave doing law enforcement. It was what I did right out of college. I went to Texas A&M and then was a police officer in Texas. And Bryan, Texas, and I learned so much. That's where I really cut my teeth. I learned from the guys that were above me training me about the streets, and I worked murders, and we worked drug investigations, and I was on SWAT, but I always wanted to be in the FBI. In fact, at one point I'd want to do politics, but as I learned more about politics, I realized, I can't hang with those folks. I'm not willing to do what some of them are willing to do. So I thought the FBI would be great, and I kept pursuing it. I was in the Department of Defense as a special agent, and I did that for about a year after I was a police officer, and then finally got on with the FBI in 2009. And so I spent 14 years with them, and I just resigned in January. And that career was really an incredible career. You get to do things you never think you would get to do. I worked counterterrorism. I worked intelligence. I worked on I was on SWAT most of my time with the FBI. I got to do protective details for the director and the attorney general. It was an incredible career. Towards the end of my career, though, I started to become a little bit, unfortunately, disenfranchised or disillusioned, I guess you might say, with some of the macro problems in leadership. And I really feel like a lot of people right now are talking about the corruption in the Bureau, and nobody in the Bureau, except for maybe those who are doing the corruption, and nobody thinks that that's good, right? The rank and file agents, nobody says, okay, corruption's good. No, they want that ferreted out. If you're doing something wrong, we want you out. The problem that's much more insidious is bureaucracy, and that bureaucracy doesn't seem evil on its face, right? And so the administrative strangle on good agents trying to do their job, and the hierarchy pushing down on them, telling them this is what's important when they're in your community, when they're not in the community, right? Headquarters telling you this is what's important when you don't live, you're miles away. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think we see that in law enforcement at all levels these days
Mm-hmm.
of laws that are passed down that prohibit them from doing their jobs
Mm-hmm.
and doing what they need to do to protect their community. And I think that a lot of law enforcement at all levels are
Mm-hmm.
really frustrated. Uh, and then you probably see that some of the best agents or law enforcement officers who leave and get different careers because they're not able to effectively do what
They signed up
they're
to
supposed to
do.
be doing.
Yeah, what they
Hmm.
signed up to do. And a lot of folks, so towards the end of my career, I left in January of this year. And I left before some people say, oh, you're retired. Well, retirement in our terms means that you get your pension and you get all the healthcare benefits that you retire after 20 years. But I left before that for two reasons. One, the problems I saw were making it hard for me to enjoy going to work. I just, because I wanted to be a leader, I wanted to try and make change. I tried to promote, but unfortunately, a lot of people didn't want to hear the truth, and I certainly wasn't rude, but the emperor didn't want to hear he had no clothes at times, and so when you tell them, you get the stick more than the carrot. So I was having trouble being motivated because I felt like they didn't want me, right? What Chris Gonzalez is a person with thoughts and ideas, and when they didn't want to hear those, when they didn't want to make the changes I thought were better for the Bureau and for the public, I just didn't enjoy going to work like I used to. Other than SWAT, I always enjoyed SWAT. My SWAT brethren and my squad mates, they're all great folks, and I don't want anybody to hear this and think, oh, the bureau's everyone there is corrupt. It's not a beehive. There are so many good people risking their lives, working their fingers to the bone. I promise you, there are. They're still there. We put away doctors for opioid abuse. We put away violent criminals, child sex traffickers. We did that every day. You never really hear about it. That's what the public expects, and that's what they want from us. But when we make a mistake, it's big. But that's not really what I was even focused on. I wanted to see the Bureau be the best. We keep saying we're the best. Let's be the best. So that'll bring us into what happened over the past year and a half. My son, my 8-year-old, beautiful, precocious boy, was looking up sizes of planets on YouTube right in our own house, right next to us. And innocuous enough as it was, he saw some video, it was probably a year and a half ago, and it was parents who hate their kids. That he explained to us what he saw. And the kids had, and it was makeup, but like blood on their faces, and the parents hated their kids. And he said, why? Why would somebody make this? And I said, okay, you know what? Let's get you, even though we were right there, you can't control the thumbnails that get recommended.
Absolutely.
You
There's,
can't control it.
I see so many kids who, and families deeply affected by these issues where kids are innocently exposed to something where, videos are recommended and they don't realize what they're clicking onto and the thumbnails that they see and the recommendations.
That's exactly right, and you can't control that. So a lot of parents think, just like we did, you know what? I'm going to get YouTube Kids. So my son's 8. He was 7.5 at the time, and I said, well, he really wants to search stuff about. He doesn't want the babier stuff, so we want to get him the 9 to 12 age range for YouTube Kids. And the first video it recommended was, "What's it like to be a non-binary boy?" Or
Oh, wow.
and so that was one in a list of videos. Now I don't know it, so I saw that and I said, okay, no, that he doesn't need to be exposed to this at this time. This isn't something particularly in a positive light. YouTube isn't doing it informationally; they're doing it in a positive light. And so I was really frustrated. I said, why can't there just be good? Why can't there just be good on there? Why can't there just be good tube? And that was really the impetus behind it, was why can't there just be good tube? And so we started thinking about it, and I did some research, and I went and looked around, and I have to grab my other headphones real quick, but I went and looked around and tried to find a service that was doing something similar, and I couldn't. Now, there are some good programs out there like Minnow and Yippee that do provide a similar service, but for younger children. My son went on there and he quickly got bored. And it's no offense to Minnow, it's just not their target market isn't that older 8 to 18 age range. And when I was in law enforcement, when there was a problem or there was a danger or there was something that needed to be addressed, you didn't wait too long to address it. You just said, you looked around.
You get on
and
top
if
of
nobody,
it.
That's exactly right. You look around, especially in SWAT. If you see a door that needs to be covered or a threat that needs to be addressed, you just take care of it. And so I looked around and I saw nobody was doing it. And I kind of said, who's going to do this? And you read the Bible verse, here I am, send me. So I said, we started talking about it. My wife and I started talking about, what does this look like? And do we think we should do this? And we started talking to families and people started saying, yes, we need this. I don't know what it looks like, but we need something like this. And so I said, well, let's do it. Let's figure this out and let's do it. And so we started really looking at it, trying to develop an idea of what this would look like. And this is not my background, right? This is not where I came from. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a content creator. That's just not anything I've ever done. And so as I started to look this up and figure this out, I realized, well, this is something, and it's going to be something that I think I want to do and need to do. And I tell a lot of parents, I'm not just doing this I'm doing this as much for my own son as I am for your children, right? My son deserves a place where he can go and learn how to start a fire, iron a pair of pants, learn about camping and fishing and the Bible in a safe place without having to worry about what the next video might be. And so that brings me to this past January, where I resigned from my job. I wrote a letter to the FBI detailing the problems I thought that we had. Pretty letter that I think has made the rounds in the Bureau. And we launched GoodTube Kids. And now here I am trying to swim. Thank God that he's got me, because I wouldn't know what I was doing.
That's amazing. And I love your acts of obedience and sacrifice, and you're doing this for your own child, for their well-being, but then making it a resource available. So tell us about the website, GoodTube Kids. How does it work? What's on it?
Sure.
How can parents use it to make the most of it?
Well, GoodTube Kids, our tagline is a safe place for kids and a resource for parents. And for those who are watching online, you can see our website here. For those who are listening, if you go to GoodTube Kids, you'll see our homepage there. And what we are trying to do is create this resource for parents and a safe place for kids all in one place. And so I started to think, I thought to myself, what would I want, right? What would I want to have on the page? And so now you can go to the menu and you can find two things at the top there. Parents click here, kids click there, because I wanted to make an easy button for parents. I wanted parents to be able to say, do you want to watch screen time? Screen time is part of our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad. I often hold up my cell phone and I say, these screens can spread lies or they can reinforce truth. And so we want to make a place where it reinforces truth. So everything on our site is anchored in the truth and goodness of the Christian faith. But that doesn't mean that everything, let's talk about the kids, right? All the videos that are there, which is where we're starting now, are going to... None of it's going to contradict traditional values or the Christian faith, right? So we're pro-life, we're pro, Christian defined marriage, traditional marriage between a man and a woman. We believe boys are boys and girls are girls, but these are historical foundational truths that have only as of late become a problem. But we don't have to force those down our children's throats. We just live them out. Right? So right now what we have is, in this first phase, for the children, We have a subscription model where the parents can pay to become a community member or a mission partner, and it's $10 or $20 a month. And as we are working to build our platform, once they become a member, a subscriber, then they'll get access to the link where their children can begin watching videos. Now we're just in our infancy, right? We're starting to add videos. We're adding more all the time. We have a lot of videos of Christian apologetics and theology and doctrine, and some puppetry videos for the younger kids. And then I'm starting to add videos about hunting and hiking and camping. And this summer, we're really going to start adding a lot. I'm really going to start doing a lot more filming and uploading. Great. It's going to be great. And we're, in fact, going tonight to get a different type of light, because I'm going to start doing nightly book readings where I'll read books for children of different ages. And that way, children could click in and they can listen. But we're just in this first phase. So we have a web-based platform for watching the videos. We're working right now on the app. Now, the app, we're going to have
very good.
Yeah, we're going to have a custom-built app for us. And, that's going to cost some money, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it for the kids. We have so long been accustomed to just big tech, I think, providing it for free. It's not for free, right? Your kids' eyeballs are dollars. And I always say this. I say, your kids are always being ministered to. It's just, what's the message, right? What are they hearing? And screens boy, they're a double-edged sword, but we want to provide a safe place for kids. And then for parents, so for children, that's the plan, is to create the app. And then we're going to start to put videos and audiobooks and documents and like how to, maybe they want to learn how to pack for an overnight camping trip. Well, here's a list, right? Maybe rather going to a company that's woke that might push something upon them, right? When they go click on that link, they can just get it all from a safe place for kids. Now, for parents,
that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about it, right? That's what I want for my son and your son and daughter.
And I've been really impressed as I've watched this play out the last few weeks at the different organizations willing to partner with you to provide you with content. Mm-hmm. What are some of the different content providers, different ministries, apologetics?
That's right.
Where are you getting some of this content from?
Great question. So, Reasonable Faith with Dr. William Lane Craig, they provided some of their Zangmeister videos. Dr. Frank Turek and Cross-Examined, they provided an excellent wealth of videos.
So these are some big name, really professional organizations giving high quality content that your kids can study and have actual deep discussion, conversation, and learning from.
Yeah, and we have right now in the queue probably 1,500 videos that we're ready to upload.
Wow.
In the Gap Kids, they provided some puppetry videos for the younger audience. Trail Life USA, they are a great organization for young boys. They provided some hunting and camping videos. And we're going to be doing more work with them in a lot of the groups. Golly, there's so many great folks. Free Thinking Ministries. I'm sure your viewers are probably familiar with.
I love Free Thinking Ministries.
Tim Stratton and Free Thinking Ministries, and there's so many great people. Eric Hernandez, a Christian apologist down in Texas. There's just a wealth out there of videos that people have provided, and we're getting new folks every day. We're looking forward to work with. If anybody is listening and they're a content creator and they have things they think might be good for youth. Now, the name is GoodTube Kids, but our main audience is 8 to 18. We want to have a place where those teenagers can go look up these things. And if you're a parent, you can't be. You got to be really careful. I don't want to tell anybody they can't do anything. That you're a parent, you can do what you want, but you got to be so careful with YouTube.
Absolutely.
And YouTube Kids. If you go to our website and you click on GoodTube Kids, one, you can subscribe today, and two, you could sign up for our free newsletter. We try to send a newsletter out each week with updates, resources, training that's upcoming. But you can look at the video links. They're in red there because somebody had mentioned, hey, my kids were watching over my shoulder and they saw the links. Can you fix that? And so I said, I'm sorry. These are things that these companies think are good for your children. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney, YouTube Kids all have a pro LGBTQIA+ and drag agenda that they are pushing on children. On YouTube Kids, for ages 9 to 12. There's over 300 videos in those videos under a channel called Queer Kids. And on that channel, you can watch a man put on his makeup to go into drag. There is a show called Drag Kids, teaching children how to dance in drag. There is one person talking to children that are interested in becoming transgender, how to go to Planned Parenthood and get resources without your parents finding out. And this is all for kids 9 to 12. And if you're not listening to what they're saying, it sounds innocent.
Absolutely. And I've walked alongside so many families that are affected by LGBTQ issues, and today with the social contagion, especially of transgenderism, and it's being pushed everywhere and it's being normalized. And there's so many kids who never struggled until they found something online, until they found the YouTube videos and the TikTok and all these things that were pushing it, and it planted an idea in their mind, and they started questioning and they started internalizing it, and it ended up becoming a major issue in these kids' lives. And it was this online content that planted the idea and led them towards that.
It is. One of the things that we want to tell parents is it's not just they saw something you wish they wouldn't have seen. It's a hook. It's this interesting little hook under their skin. And then they watch another video, and they watch another video. And kids are watching right now up to 9 hours a day. And some socioeconomic groups are watching up to 13 hours a day of screen time. I talk to kids. Now let's think about this as a parent. You send them to school. They go to sports or an after-school activity. They come home and they eat dinner, and they're with you for 35, 45 minutes. Then they go to their room and they get online and they game. And if they have a phone or a tablet and it's in their room, you got to get it out of their room because they're going to bed with it and somebody's talking to them. And the things that these kids can do with these apps is, it's not just, I wish they wouldn't have seen that. It is, who are they talking to? And there's literally physical harm that can come to them. Either, and the worst, and this is one of the things why I left the Bureau, but I don't feel like I've left law enforcement or really being a protector. I feel like what we call being a sheepdog in law enforcement. It's so much scarier. I'm less worried about somebody kidnapping my kid than my child walking out on their own. Does that make sense? Like the Pied Piper whistling a tune, and my child follows it willingly away from me, as we see these children do when parents are like, I don't know what's happening. They're wanting to do these things to their body, or they're trying to get in these relationships, or they're sneaking out at night. We're working with a group called Million Kids, and I'm going to do some presentations, and the title, I'm working on it right now, is Protecting and Preparing Your Children Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually in the Digital Age. Because particularly for parents who are Christian, the worst thing that can happen is that they walk away from the faith. And that's hard to hear, and it's happening more and more because there's just an unfiltered, unmitigated stream of garbage and poison coming through those screens that we've just become accustomed to. And
Absolutely.
We're here to fix that.
And Chris, as I minister to families and parents, many times I'm dealing with like a crisis situation where their child comes out of the closet as gay, bisexual, transgender, whatever that is. And the parents are always really, really shocked. And many times what I hear is that, well, I did everything to protect them from the world. And so I always respond with, well, their greatest threat isn't the world, it's their own heart. Like they need discipled towards Jesus and taught how to navigate the world. And so there's two aspects that I think that we think is either one or the other. One is protecting kids from the world. And so we buy into the lie that we can control absolutely everything and that their kids will be okay if we only raise them in a bubble, or we the pendulum swings and we think, well, we don't really have control. And so we don't even try and kind of live in this naive world. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
we have Jesus. We go to church on Sundays. Like God will sort it out. And so we need to really be aware and live in both of those worlds where we understand what we can control and what we can't control. And
Yeah.
we don't just make our kids live in a bubble, but we help them navigate the digital world because that's the world they live in, the world they're going to have to live in. And so we need to disciple their hearts to live in a digital world. We need to equip them well, but we also don't want to be naive. And we it's our duty to protect our kids by of what they're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that parents can live in peace. And I think that some of those extremes come from just being overwhelmed by how do I do this? How do I protect them from the digital world when everything is digital? And parents just kind of give in. And so I think that this is a resource that helps parents shepherd their kids well. And you have spiritual Christian apologetics, deep thinking stuff that is actually edifying. It's good. It's good too. But it's good for their kids to watch this content, but also as an opportunity for parents to shepherd their kids within the right boundaries and equip them to navigate the world that we're living in, and not just live in a bubble where there's no screens in our house and nothing is allowed. But then we still know that sin festers and grows in their heart, and when they're not equipped and they're not discipled. And so this really solves both of those extremes. And the answer isn't either or, it's both and. We protect our kids and we disciple our kids and equip them at the same time.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. That is our goal. I steal the phrase "protect and prepare," I think, from John Lovell, a strong Christian over at Warrior Poet Society, and he's got a pretty great setup and stuff there for people looking to do shooting and all those things. But he's an outspoken Christian that goes and teaches, and he talks about protecting and preparing our kids in a warrior mindset, to go out and take on the culture. And I don't want to just have, and I'm not saying anything bad about Veggie Tales, right? I don't want just Veggie Tales in the sense that I only want them to live in a marshmallow world, right? I want my son to engage with the ideas, but in a guided way. I'm training him how to handle those ideas, and I'm giving them to him when he's prepared. And, we're going to have topics on there to help parents and to help youth. How do we handle the LGBTQIA plus issue? How do we handle the pro-life abortion issue? Right, our children are dealing with these things at recordly young ages, so we have resources for them, but we want to do it anchored in the truth of the Christian faith and in conjunction with the parent. We believe a parent who loves their child and wants the best for them is the best advocate and resource for their child, right? Which is counter to what we're hearing in the culture, unfortunately, but we still believe that. And I will be the first to say, as somebody who is building an app for kids to watch on screens, your kids don't need to be on screens all day. Your kids don't need to post everything to influence a community of people they'll never meet, right? They should be influencing their friends. I want genuinely, because I know that one day I'm going to answer for what I've done here on this earth. I want to make sure that all the deeds and the words and the things I say glorify the Lord. And there's a verse about a millstone, and I keep that idea in the back of my head. It's better for a millstone to be hung around the neck of someone than for them to lead one of my children astray. And so I can promise you that's not in the back of the minds of the people over at YouTube as a conglomerate, or at Disney, or at Nickelodeon, but it is at the very base of what we're doing at GoodTube Kids. If I wouldn't want my son to see it or to experience that, I'm not going to put it upon your child. I've had people write and they say, well, I thought you'd have stuff for younger children. And I say, well, I want to. I'm trying. I hope you stay a subscriber, but Minnow or Yippee, some of these two other groups that provide young Christian safe content might be better. Please stick with us because we're going to try. But just like I would as a parent to another parent, I don't view these other groups, anyone else that's doing the right thing, as a competitor because we're all working
Absolutely.
for the same
We're all
Lord.
one team for the glory of God, and we need lots of resources, lots of ministries.
Right.
Good ministries bring about more good ministries, and we should be working together as a team in that.
That's true. That's true. And so coming together, getting the word out, we're starting to get subscribers more and more every day. Everyone helps. You know, I felt like when I left the FBI, those last few months, I was going to work and my chest was getting tight every time I'd be at work. And that's when you're in your 40s, that's a bad place to be, right?
Absolutely, and you can't effectively probably do your job well
No.
when
Yeah.
you're working under those conditions.
And so I left, and it was bittersweet. You know, I didn't leave the FBI angry. I really enjoyed the FBI. I missed my friends over there. I missed the mission. But I did feel called to this new mission that I never, ever thought I would do. I never thought I would do this. And I felt like I took off this big, heavy lead jacket, right? This lead jacket, 100-pound jacket weighing me down. And then I jumped into the water, and you know, my first few days out, I thought, "Oh wow, look at this freedom I have! I can do this, you know, all on my own, and I can really pour myself into this business ministry." And then I thought, it felt like I don't know how to swim. What am I doing here? Oh, the waters are turbulent. And there's a verse that somebody sent me, and it says, Luke 1:37, "Nothing is impossible for God." And it reminds me that when we do what God's called us to do, nothing can stop us. Right? Because nothing can stop the Lord. And so we have a huge mission, right? You know, to take on and create this new platform. But you know, I say with every breath I have, for as long as the good Lord lets me, let me fight the good fight. You know, here, let me do this to put a dent for good in the universe for the Lord. And so we just get up excited. Our whole family's excited about it. We can't wait to serve and come alongside these families as a resource, you know, a safe place for kids and a resource for parents. That's our mission and our motto, and that's what we're looking to build every day.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we are out of time. And so, Chris, I so much appreciate your time. I appreciate your heart, what God's called you to do, your obedience to do that. I'd encourage everyone to check out GoodTube Kids and use it as a resource for your family. That's all the time we have for the Great Exchange Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to check out our website, thegreatexchangepodcast.com, calibrateministries.com. We'd appreciate it if you'd like this video, leave a comment, share with your friends, and help get the word out there. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.